Hi everyone, welcome to Just A GearHead. In this episode, we're going to start tearing into the engine on the Century, so stay tuned. So as I said, in this episode, we're going to start tearing into the engine on the 77 Century here. It has developed pretty substantial oil leaks. I was driving it around early this summer as my daily for a bit. And there was a couple of hot days. It got a little hot. The engine got a little hot. Didn't overheat or anything, but just got a little worrisome. And then it developed. It always had a little bit of an oil leak, but then it developed some pretty bad oil leaks. And they're coming from a few places by the looks of it. And I'm not exactly sure what all of them are, but I figure we'll start tearing into the motor. There's some upgrades I want to do anyways. So I'm going to tear the motor down today, probably the top end at least, because I want to get the heads off to a shop so I can get them ported and whatnot and rebuilt. I think everything in this motor should be fairly good. I think it was actually a fairly low mileage motor, if the mileage on the odometer is correct, that is. The only issue is this is a 350 Buick motor. It's not the Chevy small block or whatever. It's actually the Buick block, which means there's some differences, and nothing's interchangeable really, except for maybe the carburetor. But anyways, so I was hoping to try to find some upgrade parts or performance parts. I found a couple, but not much out there for it. So yeah, I'm going to send the heads off to get ported and polished and rebuilt. That's going to take a couple of weeks. And then hopefully by then some of the other things I found and other parts will have showed up. But anyways, let's get to it. Here we have the 350 cubic inch Buick. Buick 350? Yeah. Anyways, so I know it's leaking from this valve cover here, and the other one on the other side is leaking too. So I do have some new valve covers and new gaskets, because I did the gaskets on these ones once already and they still leaked. I don't know if you can see it, but down here is full of oil and stuff, so I believe the intake manifold is leaking as well at the front here. I don't know exactly all what underneath is leaking. I'm pretty sure the oil pan's leaking. It's spraying oil all over underneath. So I don't know if the rear main is leaking as well or not. I have to get under there and take a look at it. There was oil in the inspection panel when you took that off. But I don't know if that's from it being blown into it or if it's actually coming from the rear main seal. I think the front seal on the timing cover might be leaking as well. So yes, it might be easier to do all those seals if the motor was out of the car, but my garage is a disaster. It's full of parts and pieces and whatnot. So, and both of my engine stands are currently being occupied, so I don't really want to pull it out unless I absolutely have to. So we're going to try to tear it down in the engine bay, or while it's still in the car. Might not be the best plan, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. So we're going to start by pulling off the carb and everything, and actually I think the first thing we should do is actually drain the coolant. So it's probably hard to see, but way down there is the pipe cloth to drain the radiator. So I'm going to open that and drain out as much of the coolant as I can out of the system. And then today, for sure, we're going to take the top hose off, because I'm going to get the intakes and the heads off if I can. So, but down the road, this radiator will probably have to come out and all this other stuff. But anyways, I'd have to take all that out even if I pulled the motor anyways, so if I have to eventually pull the motor, it's not a big deal. But if I can do this without pulling it, I'd really rather not pull it. So I'm going to use this bin, so in case I can reuse the coolant, but there's this metal piece here, some sort of, I don't know, shield for the wind, redirect the wind into the car or something. The hand's just a little too low, So I had to jack the car up a couple inches. For some reason it bent over there, so someone obviously ran into something with it or backed over something with it. But yeah, so tires aren't even off the ground. I just had to bring it up a tiny bit just so that it was under it. But anyways, so I had to get it from underneath. And there we go. Drain the light. While that's draining, we'll start taking the engine apart. First we'll let that carburetor off. Funny bone. Don't know why they call it funny. It's not funny. I'm not too concerned about the position of the distributor, as I'm going to be doing the timing chain and probably I've got a ham coming for it in the camshaft. So I'm going to have to reset the motor to the top dead center anyway, so current position isn't really that big of a deal. I'll have to reset it all anyways. And everything I'm taking off, I am keeping until I put it back together, because then I'll know what I do and do not need. Just noticed this. I didn't notice it before because everything was in the way, but they actually on Buick 350s mark which cylinder is which on the intake, if it's an original intake. That's kind of cool. And I think somewhere in here it's a firing order. Yeah, right here. 1843651 I think is what that says. Oh, push that's what that says. Yeah, firing order. Right there. It says firing order over here. That's kind of cool. Alright, so now we'll undo the 8 bolts I think that are holding the intake on and pull that off. Probably won't weigh a ton. Oh wow, that weighs like half a ton. Alright. Yeah. That's a little manual, that's probably why it's leaking there. And a bunch of RTV and stuff back there too. That's a silicone RTV. So that's just lovely. That was probably definitely part of my palm back there too. And our little bobby pin plastic set. I have a new one of these, but I'll hang on to this stuff just for now. So the odometer on this car says 33,000 plus. I think it was 133,000, but I'm not 100% certain. It could be either. But this motor doesn't look too bad. It's obviously old and someone's been in here before, but it doesn't look like anything's too worn to me. There's no major amounts of sludge. And these old castings, they just left all this nasty sail and stuff on it. If I was doing a full rebuild, I'd probably smooth some of that out for better oil flow, but that is not the plan for today, or this time. So right now we need to get the alternator off, and the power steering pump off, the exhaust manifolds, so we can take the heads off. All this just to take the heads off. Alright, we'll get back to it. So I took the power steering pump off of that bracket there, just laid it over here for now. And I'll pop that bracket off, because I'm sure the machine shop doesn't want that on there. And then we'll do the alternator. I think the camera cut out there for a minute, But I got the alternator off and the bracket for the alternator off. So now I'm going to start looking at the exhaust manifolds, see if I can get them unbolted from the heads. Fine. I think I'll start on the passenger side because it looks a little easier. This side was not fun. That steering shaft is definitely in the way. One of them I had, the back one on the bottom, I had to do from underneath. And the center one on the center here, the lower center one, that one was just a pain in the butt. It took forever. And now I have to go clean it from work. So I'll probably be back at it tomorrow to finish letting these heads off. But until then, see you in a few seconds. For you it'll be a few seconds, for me it'll be tomorrow. White cars and greasy hands. Yep. Alright, see you tomorrow. So my microphone has gone dead for some reason. But here I'm just explaining what I planned on doing today. And pointing out that the Buick 350 has a rocker shaft instead of individual rockers. So I just need to pull the whole rocker shaft and rocker assembly off together so I can get the push rods out. And I'm also discussing removing the fan and the water pump and the timing chain cover and all that so I can get at the camshaft. Here I am just discussing how it appears that someone had already taken this motor apart and been working on it at some point, and how little ring bridge there was at the top of the cylinders. You could best barely catch your nail on something there. And then here I'm pointing out the fact that you can still see a crosshatch in the bore of the cylinder. So yeah, this engine ran really well and didn't smoke or anything. I don't know when the engine was gone through, but definitely at some point this motor looks to have been gone through. So this is with the passenger side head removed. Here I'm actually discussing the fact that there's quite a bit of coolant that came out when I removed the head. And that's due to the fact that the lower radiator hose on the Buick 350 actually comes up to the side of the water pump. So there's a fair amount of coolant that is left in the engine block even after draining the radiator. I made quite a mess on the ground, as you can see there. And a bunch of it actually dumped into the exhaust manifold, which I found out later in this video. Here I'm just showing how nice the lifters that were in the motor look. They had very little wear on them, no bluing or anything. The only issue was one of them actually got stuck in the block and I had to kind of destroy it to get it out. I'm not sure why it was stuck. It didn't look like it should have been. But other than that, they all looked really good. Alright, so now we got the heads off and the lifters out. I'm going to start working on the front dress here and get the fan and pulleys and water pump and maybe even time to cover off. We'll see how far we get today. Alright, well, the way to put this pre-hood, it was working, but, I don't know, it was pretty cheap to order a new one, so I ordered a new one. So, keep this one, in case the new one's no good. The thing I'm doing next is pull out this radiator shroud and the radiator. They gotta come out anyways, and it'll make my life easier trying to get the pulley and the harmonic balancer off of the bottom there before I take the timing cover off. We'll work on that next, which means I kind of have to clean up here a little bit. So this shroud is a little annoying because it has the wiper fluid reservoir and the overflow for the radiator integrated into it. A little bit of a weird design. I think it's just these hoses and these couple of bolts here. I already took off the wiper feed line. It looks like a big radiator, but when you look at it this way, that's pretty skinny. So yeah. I might want to get a different radiator. Maybe one that's double core or maybe aluminum or something down the road. We'll see. That'll make getting that pulley off a lot easier, and the timing cover. And eventually when I pull the camshaft off, I should have enough room here to slide it all the way out, because there's like more room under here. So yeah. These cars have lots of sliding room, so I should be able to slide the old one out and the new one in pretty easily. But maybe I'll try to get that pulley off. I got the pulley off and the crank bolt loose. Now I'll find my gear puller and see if I can get the harmonic balancer off. It's bloody hot out today. Usually they're a lot harder than that. So a couple of days later, I got the heads off to the machine shop, so they're being looked at and probably worked on soon here, hopefully. I hope it won't be too long before I'm back. I really haven't done anything the last couple of days, got busy with some other stuff. So now I have it, the oil is draining. I took out the two bolts on the front of the oil pan that go up into the timing cover. So now I can remove the timing cover and undo the fuel line for the fuel pump. And I think I'll just take that whole unit as one if I can. Yeah, I can. I'll have to look at it. Once I got that off, I'll take the timing chain off and remove the camshaft. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get that done today. Well, it actually looks pretty good. There's a little bit of schmutz on it, but I think that's from taking the intake off. But yeah, the lobes and everything look pretty good. A little bit of heat cycling and stuff, but alright. I'll have to get this gear off of it. But there we go. That is out. But next, I think I'm going to remove the oil pan. See if I can get that out without lifting up the motor. And I might remove the exhaust manifolds as well. Actually, I might just cut the exhaust off. But I'm hoping to find some headers for it. But the exhaust on this is kind of just whatever. So if I can't find headers for it, then I'm going to redo the exhaust anyway, so if I just cut it off, it's not a big deal. But yeah, so yeah, maybe I'll do the exhaust first and then try to get the oil pan off. Yeah, well, hopefully you guys can see it from over there, but as you can see, we're under the car. It's already a mess down here. I'm probably going to cut the exhaust in half here somewhere there, and then cut it off over here, just so I can pull the exhaust manifolds out. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I think I'll start over here. If I can get under here with this. Huh. It did rain the other day, so, but no, that shouldn't have happened. That's coolant. Oh, maybe at least then when I was taking the heads off, I think a bunch of coolant splashed into the exhaust manifolds, probably. Hopefully. Hopefully that's all it is. Well, so, it really wasn't much of an exhaust system. Just stock manifolds, pipe into some sort of glass pack by the looks of it, and then that's it. Which just explains why it had a good rumble to it. Sounded more impressive than it was. Hopefully some of these mods we're doing will improve upon that. Alright, now we're going to do the bolts for the oil pan and see if we can drop it down and out without having to lift the motor up. Cross your fingers. I got the engine torn down basically as far as I need it to be, except for the oil pan coming off. But when I dropped it down, you can see it was running into the flex plate, green gear, whatever you want to call it, on the transmission. So I need to remove the transmission to get the oil pan off, basically. I was going to pull the transmission in a little while and send that off to a shop because I did the filter and the oil pan gasket on it last year, I think it was, and the pan was full of clutch material and sludge, so I could probably use with it going through and probably new clutches. So we might be doing that sooner than I had thought, but we'll see. I'm not sure if that'll be the next video or not with the Century, or if the next video will be cleaning up the engine bay and stuff, because now that we have the engine mostly taken apart and a lot of the stuff out of the way, I was thinking of painting the engine bay and maybe giving the engine block radical rebuild. But anyways, so yeah, that'll probably be it for today because I have to run off and get Talina from work. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you guys want merchandise, there's a link for my Redbubble account in the description. Any funds from that go into the cars. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.